So welcome to the session on Safran Project. Today, Jørgen Aasland is going to bring you through how to get started in the platform. So take it away, Jørgen.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought we were going to have a look at the very basics of how you start Safran Project, how you log in, and have a look at the user interface. So yeah, I'm just going to navigate and find Safran Project here. And yeah, just be aware that it might pop up on a separate screen here.
Yeah.
So this is the login screen that's greeted that we're greeted with when we first fire up Safran Project, and I'm running it now on a local database on my computer. So my login ID is just simply the database user. If you're using Safran Project in a bigger installation with a multi-user environment, you'll probably have a username, a login ID, or a password. And there's a few other things to be aware of on the login screen itself when we log into Safran Project. So there is this setting for remember password, which is useful if you are using your Windows user to log in. But as I'm using it in a standalone version now, I don't have the Windows user, but ticking that box will make sure that it remembers your login ID. There's also a couple of other options here. The More button will give you more details about the environment you're logging onto, so to speak. So we have the database method, so either Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle Server, which should be known by your IT team. Next is the server that you're connecting to, and then finally the database that you're logging into. So all of these properties are things that you can get a hold of by contacting your IT. So once you've filled that out, you can click log on to log into Safran Project. And once again, opening up on my second screen here. So as soon as we're operational, I'll pull it back in. All right, we're back. So this is the screen that you're greeted with once you have logged in. It might not look exactly like this because I've clicked the button here, and we'll get to that. I'll just take it away now. This is probably more like the standard window that's opening when you log in. And it'll basically show you a list of all the projects that I have access to as a user in the database that I've logged onto. So as I just quickly hit here, we have a navigation bar here, project selector feature, and there's also two tabs up top. We can select either single projects or we can select project groups. So we'll dive more into those details in a later video, but project groups, as you can see, is a collection of a lot of individual projects. So it allows you to open up an entire portfolio and work on that. Whilst the individual project itself can be opened on the Projects tab. If we look at the bottom half of the window, there's a basic information screen with some key value, tells you how many activities are in the project, when was the last status update that was run, the last baseline run, and it also shows you some actuals, like what is the baseline scope, what is your planned scope, how much have you earned on the project, how much have you expended, and it shows you some stats on progress, where you plan to be, what your actual progress is, and some key indices. Additionally, here I can open projects from files. We support importing either Safran Project files, Safran Planner files, Microsoft Project, or Primavera P6 XCR files. I can also delete any projects that I own. I can select a project and click OK to open it, and I can cancel out of this window and just go back to the screen here itself. And you can also take note that there is a drop-down list here that allows you to choose how you log on to the project. So you can choose exclusive, test, or read access. And that is, well, read access is self-explanatory in that you cannot make any changes if you open it as read. Exclusive access will lock out any other users. So if you are 10 planners working on a big mega project and you are the planning lead, you can let your team know that you're going to run a status update and you'll open the project in exclusive access, and that'll prevent any other planners from going in and making any changes when you run the status update. Good. So let's go back to this sidebar here. This is really useful if you have a project group scenario and you've created some enterprise fields on your projects, which allows you to filter down the list, basically. Another thing to make note of when we're looking at the open project window is that there is a small arrow at the top of the left of the window, and I can click that and it'll open up a sidebar that allows me to navigate my projects more effectively. So this is using something that is called enterprise fields that is set up on the project header level itself. And you can customize this as your project setup. I've basically got one characteristic that I've called project type. And you can basically select, if you have multiple different categorizations, you can select and build sort of like a tree structure here that you can select your projects based on. But if you've got hundreds of projects in your database, I could look at just my construction projects or my infrastructure projects or my oil and gas projects or renewable or transport or so on. So this categorization is user definable. You can set up how many levels and organize them. It could be by country, it could be by project type, it could be by department or division or whatever you like. So it can be a very useful way to structure and organize your projects and then select based on this. Also kind of similar, well, if you're working with project groups, it could be organizing your portfolios into energy or construction or what you would like. Good. Another thing to note, if you're opening a project from file, given that Safran Project is a database system, when you open up a file, it's not automatically saved to the database. So just be mindful of that. If you open a file and you want to store it in your database, you need to actively save it to your database. And if you don't do that, you're just opening a file and viewing it. And once you closed it, it's closed. So good to know. Other than that, we can also use a quick search bar up top here and search for different words in our projects and basically jump through the list. So good to know if you've got a lot of projects. Okay, so that's some basic information about the open project window.